who is this girl and what is she doing? So this is how you learn. This is essentially like your university, your degree. But did it help me? No.
1, 2, 3, let's switch this up.
Hi, my little honeys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Anastasia, also known as your fave social media girl for those who are new. Please don't forget to subscribe. It would really help my channel out. And of course, don't forget to hit that notification bell button so you know every single time that I post, which is on Friday. I don't know why I always whisper when I say Fridays. It's kind of fun. Okay, this video is all about acting classes. I'm splitting this video into a part 1 and a part 2. Part 1 is primarily going to be kind of like your basics of like, why are acting classes important? When should you start them? Like, how long do you have to take them? What kind of benefit do they give you? Like those kind of generic questions. And then part 2 is going to be about what type of acting classes are out there. And I'm going to give you a list of some of the top acting classes that are really good and what kind of method they teach, so then you can kind of figure out which acting class works for you. In my opinion, acting classes is kind of a more depending on you and who you are as an actor and who you like to become as an actor. Are they necessary to go to all the time? Well, yes and no. If you're looking to have acting as more of a hobby, you just want to do a few little films with your friends, nothing serious where you actually want to make money out of it, make a career, then no, I wouldn't say acting classes are necessary for you, because you're not looking to necessarily take it to that serious level of being financially dependent on the acting gigs. So you don't really need to spend the money on acting classes, because I'm not going to deny it and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Acting classes are pretty expensive. If you are looking to do acting classes as a serious basis, like you really want to be a successful actor, then yes, acting classes are very, very, very important. Take a look at sports, for example. Big NHL players, like basketball players, baseball players, whatever, hockey players, they are always training all year round up until the start of the playoffs. So it's kind of the same thing with acting. Your acting is like an acting muscle inside your body. The less you do in terms of the acting classes, the harder it will be for you to get back into it. Just like, for example, dancers, if they don't do their splits for a whole year, well, they're not just gonna be able to bounce back into it that easily. They're gonna need to take a little bit of time to have muscle memory kick in and then be like, oh, I remember how to do the splits. So it's the same thing with acting classes. So it's beneficial for you to do them. First of all, it's your growth as an actor. You wanna grow as an actor. You wanna become better at your craft. You wanna book auditions. You wanna book gigs. You wanna do well. You wanna be renowned for your work. So if you take your classes, you're gonna be able to make mistakes in the acting class, learn from them, and then be able to apply what you learned once you actually book the gig. A lot of people ask, when should you start classes? And then once you start classes, how long you should be taking classes? There isn't necessarily an exact time when you should start acting classes. Definitely you should get into it once you've kind of decided you want to do acting for real, because the sooner you start working on your craft, the sooner you start being able to grow as an actor and make mistakes and learn and become better as an actor, the better it's going to be for you. The better it's going to look great with your agency. You're going to probably book a lot more. You're just going to feel more confident walking into the room, because I knew when I would go out for auditions and I was never doing any acting classes, partially because I had a big ego, which is very common within actors. I actually would bomb the auditions really badly because I was so nervous, because I did not have the confidence and the inner sort of stability within me to be like, Anna, you know what you're doing. You're a great actor. You do your classes. This audition that you're going to do right now is very similar to what you did in your acting class last week. And so that wasn't the case for me at the time. And so I would do really poorly at these auditions. And it was an embarrassment for me, because then these casting directors are like, who is this girl and what is she doing? So I would definitely get yourself into classes as soon as you can. In terms of how long you should do them, I believe that you should always be in some sort of active acting thing, but there will sometimes maybe come a time where you're like, okay, I think I've grown enough and I just think my brain can't learn anymore, so I just need a moment to just stop and take a break from acting classes and then get back into it in a couple of months. That's totally fine. Don't think that if you stop and you want to take a moment for yourself, that then all of a sudden you're gonna be a bad actor. That's not the case. Yeah, I mean, you might lose your momentum if you don't do acting classes for 5 years. Yes, I think that's for anybody. I actually haven't taken it. I think the last time I took a class was a year ago. I primarily stopped because it was COVID and I wasn't auditioning and I wasn't making any money from acting. So financially, I was really like just not on a good financial side to be able to put in like $300 into acting classes. So I chose to make the stop for now and get back into it when I'm like, okay, now I feel financially stable enough to go and put in my money in for acting classes. Acting classes, you will have an acting coach that's going to be like your group acting class that you're in. You can also do one-on-one coaching, which is a popular thing. A lot of people that I've met in the industry will jump into doing one-on-one coaching right away. I don't find it necessarily to do that right away. I think you doing group classes is very necessary because it doesn't matter. It's the basics. You have to get into it. Primarily what happens at one-on-one coaching is you have an audition and you need help to prep yourself for this audition because it could be a very big audition. It could be a very difficult one. If you have to do self-tapes, you will do one-on-one coaching and your coach will literally prep you for the self-tape. And most of the time you'll even film the actual self-tape as part of the one-on-one coaching. One-on-one coaching is not necessarily something you do for like 6 months straight. Yes, if you were maybe Margot Robbie and you have a huge role coming up, yes, then you will have probably 3 months of prep work, one-on-one acting coach for the movie that you're about to do. But if you don't have any gigs coming up, if you have no auditions coming up, not much is going to happen in your one-on-one acting coach because the whole entire point of it is it's prepping you for whatever movie you booked and you need help with, or you're about to book some sort of movie or film or show and you want to prep for the audition. So don't rush into that right away because they're very expensive and they're unnecessary for you if you are not actively auditioning yet. Wait till you get an agent, wait till you are legitimately auditioning. And then once you need like the help for the self-taping or once you book something and you want to really get yourself ready for the role, once you're going to be filming in a month or whatever, then 100% the coach that you probably have as your acting coach, like for your group classes, will most likely also be your acting coach that you'll have on one-on-one. That's another thing. A lot of acting coaches will not take you on if they don't know who you are because they never worked with you. So for them to kind of do right away a one-on-one with you is a little too personal. So they want to get you into classes to see how you are, what your level of acting is, and then take you and say, okay, great. Like I see where you're at. Perfect. We can do the one-on-one coaching. Monologues are important, but they're not the number one thing when it comes to like acting lessons and stuff like that. Most of the auditions that you're going to do are not monologues. Like 95% of them are always going to be a dialogue between you and another person. In theater though, that's a little different. In theater, a lot of your auditions are going to be monologues. They're going to be either like a comedic monologue or a dramatic monologue, depending on what you're auditioning for. But a lot of people ask, like, can I just practice monologues at home? I mean, yes, like 100%. If you want to practice monologues at home, nobody's stopping you. By all means, do it. But do not just solely rely on the fact of just practicing monologues at home. You have to remember that acting, it's not an individual activity. When you watch movies, when you watch TV shows, it's a group activity. You are playing off the other person. So I want to actively listen what, I don't know, Jessica is telling me. I have a feeling and I have emotion, and then I'll deliver my line back at her. And then she will do the same thing. Whatever I say to her, it will affect her, whether it made her happy, sad, blah, blah, blah. And then she goes back and forth. It's like a tennis match. You're passing the ball back and forth constantly. So monologues, there is no tennis match. It's just you. I mean, monologues are great if you want to do cold reads, which means you walk into an audition, but you don't know what you are going to be doing at the audition. It's called cold read. So you're literally walking in and reading something cold. If you wanted to do stuff like that, that's perfect, but do not solely rely on monologues at home because 99% of the time you will not be auditioning for them in film and TV. Theater, different, but even then, you might be doing a bit more stuff in theater than just monologues. What if I don't want to do acting classes and I just want to practice at home? You can 100% practice at home, but like I said before, it is a group exercise. You cannot play the tennis match when there's no one at home to play it with. Yes, I could be at home right now, like it's COVID, blah, blah, blah. I could ask my mom to help me do a scene, but my mom's not an actor. My mom's not going to connect into what I need her to connect as much as I would. Then it makes it harder for my job because I am more invested of trying to get my mom to do the right thing than for me to actually practice what I meant to be practicing. Don't just depend on practicing at home, because you're not going to be able to learn how to truly connect with other actors. That's the whole entire point, is the acting is all about the connection that you have with your acting partner. So you can't really do that at home. I can't do that if I'm just talking to the wall, right? So in acting group classes, this is where they teach you about connection, about the emotion, about how to active listening, and how to hear your partner and what they're saying, and react from there on. I guess because of COVID, this has become like a really popular, obviously, thing because we were in lockdown. Online acting classes became a huge thing. I think online classes is very biased, and I think it depends on the person. I personally do not like online acting classes. I find it really hard for me to connect through the computer screen. I've done the online acting classes, and for me, I got way too invested in like, oh God, I'm not listening to my partner, because now all of a sudden I'm caring about the Wi-Fi, I'm caring about the fact that my computer is glitching, and then sound is weird. I didn't see a benefit for me, so it really depends on people. I know some of my acting friends that actually prefer online classes over group classes, and that's totally fine. That's just like a huge preference. But I think at the end of the day, even if you do prefer online classes, you still need to do like in-person classes, because at the end, when you are booking the roles and then going to the TV show or going to the film or whatever that you're about to, do, you're not filming this through a screen. You are actively having other people in the room with you filming whatever you're filming. So it's important to be able to create the muscle memory of what's it like to be in a room with other actors and really engage with them in real life and not just through a screen. How many acting classes should I take? I don't think there's a maximum, and I don't think there's a minimum either. Again, I think it depends on finances. How much can you afford in terms of taking? I think it depends on your life and your lifestyle. Like, there were people who worked at 9-to-5 jobs in the acting classes that I had, so they couldn't take any acting classes during the week. I think it also depends on what status and level you are as an actor. If you just started out and you are just learning the basics, I would maybe just keep it onto like the more, like just a few acting classes, like maybe 1 to 2 a week. Like, you don't have to go in hardcore into doing like 5 classes a week. A lot of the actors that do 4 to 5 acting classes a week, you have to understand that those actors are at a point where they're financially stable, they have a full-on acting career, they're auditioning actively, they're with, pretty good agents, and they're being seen constantly. So they need more of the prep, they need more of like the momentum of keeping them going. And so that's understandable. But like I said, for a whole 2 years, I only did 1 acting class a week because I felt like that's what I needed. The other thing is, you have to remember that if you are auditioning a lot, you cannot say no to your auditions for your acting class. You have to skip your acting class. We had an individual who was always booking, which was great, but then they were unfortunately always missing their acting classes because they were always going to auditions or booking. So essentially they would pay for these acting classes and then only show up once a week, and then it wasn't a benefit for them, and it wasn't a benefit also for their acting partner, because most of the classes you will be partnered up, and then that just sucks, because then your partner doesn't get a chance to play with you. Are acting books necessary? I think when I was in theater school, they really made it so grandiose, like, get all these acting books and read all these acting books and Stanislavski's method. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy reading. I never felt a benefit when I would read the book. Like, I would understand the basics of like, this is how that acting method worked. But did it help me? No, because then when it was my turn for me to come up and do it, sure, I read what I read, but it did not register into my body. I'm a visual learner. Like, I need to physically do the job in order for me to learn. So that really depends. I think if you want to read the books and just kind of become familiar, 100%, they don't hurt. Like, they're not going to do anything bad to you. But I wouldn't solely rely on just books. You can read all the books you want, but you need to still also actively go in order to get your body used to acting classes and growing. Why are acting classes important? They are important for many, many things. First of all, it's your growth as an actor. I probably said growth 27 times in this video. This is how you learn. This is essentially like your university, your degree. No lawyer is going to show up to a law office without ever having to learn anything to do about law. It's the same thing. It's also a huge way to make connections and network. This is so important because depending on where you go, like, you might meet students there that are actively auditioning. They have agents, like they know a lot of people. I've had in my acting classes directors who are also actors. I had writers who are also actors, and all of them are always working together, and people are actively always like working on little projects, and then they'll see you do your scene up in the front with another acting person, and then they'll want you to audition for their movie. So it's a great way to make connections. It's a great way to network. It's a great way to like kind of learn the community and get your, you know, your foot in there. And on top of that, it's kind of your industry prep. Sometimes some acting classes, they'll have sort of like industry night. So they'll kind of invite acting agents they know and they have good connections with to come and watch sort of like your final week of what you've been doing. And it's a great way for the acting agent to see you and to see your work. And if they are looking to expand their roster, then it's great because then you essentially you can get signed with them. I've heard of people who, like an acting teacher will have an agent as well. And your acting teacher might see something in you that they really like and they think that maybe their agent might need this as well. So then they'll kind of refer you to their agent, and the next thing you know, you sort of got your agent through there. Or maybe the acting teacher can refer you to a casting director, or knows about an audition that you have the look and you would be perfect for the part. Like anything, it could be anything. It's so great to make these connections and kind of prep yourself for the industry, because this industry is hugely based on the people that you know, the connections, and the referrals. The other thing is it's important is that if you were new, let's say, to the city, when you're new, you don't know anything. You don't know who are the best acting schools. You don't know who are the best acting coaches. You don't know who are the best acting agencies, who are the best acting directors. Like, you don't know any of this stuff. So when you come into an acting class, like I said, you network and you make connections and you get to really learn. Oh, okay, so this agency is not the greatest. Oh, okay, great. So this acting studio is meant for beginner actors, but then this acting studio is meant for more like advanced full-time actors, like whatever. So you'll get to know that once you're in the acting classes, and that's a great way for you to also kind of start from the bottom and work your way up, and then again, make your connections and go from there. Well, honeys, that is it for my part 1 of my acting classes. If you have any more questions or anything you wanted to know more about acting classes, please comment below. I'll be very happy to answer. You can also follow me on Instagram at Anastasia_Piero, and you can DM me on there as well. Before we end, I actually have a little bit of an announcement that I'm very excited to make. If you saw my last acting video, I did a bit of an honest acting update about the struggle, what's it like, and blah, blah, blah. Well, very shortly after that video, I got signed with an agent. I'm very excited for this new time. So I just wanted to share with all of you honeys, because you obviously are on my acting journey and I think it's important to talk about it. So yes. Anyways, I love you honeys. I'll see you all next week. Mwah. Bye.